Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for what at this point is like the yearly channel recap video that I do at the end of the year, where I also talk a bit about what you can expect in the upcoming year. And also at this point, it's also partially like a computer watch 2025. Well, we'll get on to that. But I want to address first off, this is being released on a Monday, which is not something that I usually do. You know, Mondays are usually reserved for a dev diary video. But I'll just be honest, I just needed a break because of how insane this month was. And B, this plays into a larger thing that I will get to in a bit, but it's basically just, you know, two birds with one stone type of situation. And in fact, you know, let's just stop wasting time and let's just recap a bit of the year, because it was quite the year. You know, another year full of just trying something new every week, or trying to, I don't know, off the top of my head, the only thing I could really remember being like a two-parter, I think, was the Cursed Mario game. But I mean, yeah, the overall year, I tried to stick to trying to do new things every single week, which again is a very interesting process, and it's very, very difficult to do. Like, to come up with new ideas every week can become challenging. Again, though, luckily I do have a constantly growing to-do list in case, you know, certain things happen. You know, like, for example, projects failing for some reason. And when I say failures, it's like, so the way that I do things is it's like a three-step process where I will start with the game idea. And if you've been here a while, you already know the process, because it was how I started with Let's Dev. And so the beginning process is when I'm prototyping a game, it's always just shapes and just placeholder everything. And that is stage one. And I always have multiple games in that stage one phase, you know, because stage two is sort of like, okay, the idea is mostly done. I can start adding art to it. I can start, you know, fleshing it out to make it a presentable piece, you know, just so it's not shapes for the entire video, because that's just, as interesting as the ideas may be, none of it will matter if it's just squares and triangles on screen for the whole time, you know? The third phase is obviously converting it into a video and yada yada. So at some point, there were two videos in particular in December, the same exact month, the projects failed either at stage one or stage two. The thing with failing projects is that really takes time away from, you know, working on other things. So usually that is the largest thing that I have to worry about. But and this is a huge but, if you follow the channel and, you know, you followed my community post, you know, just to cut and dry of it, I almost kind of like disappeared from the internet 2 months ago, or not even two, was it two? A few months ago in August. The end of August. And I've been sitting on this story. I wanted to make a video about it, but I figured I would roll the dice, and instead of wasting time making a video, I decided to, well, hold off, and if I could make it to the end of the year, I would include it here. So let's talk about what happened in August, because that was a ride. So it's like one lovely Thursday morning, sometime in the end of August. I remember that it was a Thursday because I have a history of having huge technical problems on Thursdays. I needed to upload videos, which is why I turned on my computer, and immediately I noticed I had no internet. So I checked the back of my PC, and I noticed that the Ethernet cable, you know, where you put it in and it usually, you know, blinks or whatever, that light was just stable. And when I looked it up, that meant you weren't getting any internet to the device, to the motherboard. So I spend like an hour trying to troubleshoot, and just nothing that the internet suggests works. So at that point, I pretty much just have to wait, and I have to do more research later. And so long story short, I just couldn't figure out what was wrong. So eventually I came up with the idea of, okay, well, if I can't connect to the internet through my computer, but my computer still works perfectly fine, maybe what I'll do is I'll transfer the files that I need to upload to like my phone, because I don't have any other, you know, like PC or laptop or anything. So I'll transfer to my phone, and I'll use my phone to upload the videos and do everything through my phone. Well, first off, I need to say that I don't know if it's just me or a user error, but YouTube's phone app sucks. the mobile app just blows. Like, I wanted to do a preemptive post because I wasn't sure I was going to be able to even do the file transfer thing. Like, I wanted to make a community post and it wouldn't let me. Like, I could literally do nothing but maybe look at analytics through that thing. And even to this day, like, when I tried to delete the app, you know, and first, like, remove my data from the app itself before I delete it. I don't know, I'm being careful here. The app itself broke. Like, the app was just like, okay, we'll log you out, and then it tries and it's like something went wrong. And so now every time I try to load the app is just like, we don't know what's happening, nothing loads right. That's it, just so it's broken. I don't know what happened. Anyway, so it's here that I decided to try and just, I don't know, go through like the web app through my phone. Still desperate with this whole idea of transfer to the phone, use the phone to upload. It's not ideal, but it's something, right? So I plug my phone into my PC, and my PC is like, hey, do you want to use your hotspot? And I'm like, what is that? You know, I know what a mobile hotspot is, but I thought like a mobile hotspot, you needed like extra things, but apparently not. And so I was like, oh, you know, I have the service that allows me to hotspot. Why not use a hotspot? And so I surprisingly had internet. Still, I wasn't sure how stable this internet was going to be, so I used my mobile hotspot to upload the videos, and then I was able to prep them for release like usual. So fast forward about a week of using my hotspot data, my carrier is like, hey, you're running out of data and you're not going to have any data for about a month once this runs out. So I was like, okay, I need to obviously look at a more stable solution. And this is just me being a boomer, I guess, not really following technical trends. I don't know. But yeah, there's apparently a Ethernet to USB dongle that you can get. And it's apparently not as fast as internet usually can be, but it is an option, which is what I read. And I guess it's just a testament to how terrible my internet is that I see no speed differences between my Ethernet and USB connected device. So that makes me question a lot of things, because I am pretty sure that I have been using a broken Ethernet module in my motherboard for like 10 years now. And I say that because I remember, so my motherboard is apparently Wi-Fi compatible, but I could never get that thing to work. And all this time, I just assumed that I just kept it disabled in the BIOS. But long story short, the Wi-Fi was always enabled all this time. It just never worked. And so it does not surprise me that the first major thing to go in my motherboard is probably the thing that was broken all this time. It's just finally the other wheel came off 10 years later, I guess, you know. But that entire process, I was not able to really work, so that really set me back. So to have that followed like a month or two later by projects failing back to back almost, I think you can see why I took today off to instead do a channel update. But anyway, that is a story. It's probably not, me retelling it probably is not nearly as stressful as it was experiencing. But yeah, if it wasn't for the magic of Ethernet to USB, I would not be speaking to you right now. As long as that keeps up and the rest of the PC does not fall apart, we'll be good. Which again, by the way, nowhere near close enough to be replacing this thing. And like a few months ago, I would have told you, like, for transparency's sake, I've made enough through the Patreon to maybe buy a couple sticks of RAM on sale. That's no longer a relevant joke that I can make. So yeah, but that does tell you where we currently stand with the Patreon and affording a new PC, aka we are nowhere near close. But I do always again appreciate those of you who decided to try to contribute to the efforts. Again, I cannot thank you guys enough. But yeah, I feel like I'm starting to ramble, so let's just talk about how this all affects what happens next year, because a lot is going to kind of be, I don't know, I feel like I'm getting too grandiose with my wording here. There are going to be changes next year. So as I mentioned, doing a update video this week kind of plays into what to expect next year. And that is at least for the foreseeable future, I'm going to be switching from a video a week to a video every 2 weeks. I enjoy the process of making new things every week, but that is a very different process from what I started with when I began this whole thing, you know? When I started with Let's Dev, it was sort of a series of a process, and the process was the content. But I've noticed that people seem to enjoy more of the less serial stuff and more the week to week being a new project. So I guess the idea is because you don't need to do any catch up, you can just sort of just jump in at any time, and it's understandable. And I'm more than willing to do that. But that is a very different process because, again, if it was just a continuous series, I could just hit record for like an hour and whatever happens in that hour would be the content. That's how it used to be. But now it's much different. I basically have to build a game and then make sure that that game is presentable as a video all within 1 week. And that is extremely demanding. And that is why my process is the way it is because it has to compensate for the fact that I don't get to do this for like 8 hours a day and get paid for it, you know? So the reality of the situation is if I want to continue that process, I need more time because the scheduling is just getting too tight. And if there's anything that I realized is that no matter how hard I try, I am currently at the point where if I do not have more time between videos, I'm always going to be down to the wire. And if anything, and I mean anything, goes wrong, that means I just do not have a video for that week. And on top of that, I'm kind of more frustrated that I don't get to spend more time with these projects. And that's not to say that future projects are going to be anything more crazy or grandiose than what I'm putting out now. It's just that I feel like it sort of devalues the whole process of doing something new every week, and you know, it feels unfulfilling. And so sometimes it just feels like, I don't know, maybe this is just me putting too much pressure on myself, but sometimes I feel like I'm just putting out the same video with different flavors because that's all I have the time to do, which in then has started to put more pressure on myself to start branching out and finally doing things that I've otherwise been kind of scared to even bother with because, again, it eats into personal time, you know? I'm talking about things like, you know, like your personal health, both mentally and physically, and just, you know, enjoying maybe other hobbies that are not making games, because right now almost all of my free time is spent on this channel right now, and I wouldn't say it's burning me out, but it's definitely bumming me out because I don't get to experience it to the fullest extent anymore because of just how pressed for time I am. And so that's why I want to change that, and I want to give myself more opportunity, more time to just let things settle, or at least relieve some of that pressure that I have to deal with on a weekly basis of, oh my god, you know, I spent too much time on the game. Now the edit of the video is going to be really basic and cookie cutter, or vice versa. I don't know. Again, I might just be getting in my own head here, but I just feel like my current schedule just does not allow me to that freedom, I guess. I am blanking on words. It is late as I'm recording this, but yeah, I'm hoping that this is going to help ease of having to try to make a game and make a video on that game in the same week. Probably going to take me a couple months, to be fair, to even get into that new groove. Anyway, yeah, so once again, really appreciate the continued support that you guys have shown the channel this year. I hope that I can continue to make content that you enjoy next year. And here's to hoping that, you know, things get better in 2026 than they were in 2025. So that, you know, everything, what is the saying? The rising tide lifts all ships. Hopefully we can all experience a rising tide and have a wonderful 2026. But, you know, with that said, hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday season. Hope you guys have a wonderful new year and a safe start to your 2026. As always, take care of yourselves, and I will see you guys next time.